Welcome to the Sarasota University Monthly Colloquium. Everybody's coming in now. It's right at 6 o'clock. This colloquium is sponsored by Sarasota University to bring us together to hear from experts in their field each month. And I believe we have Miss Heather White with us, who is on our faculty. And Heather is the person to contact if you have the ability to be an expert speaker at our colloquium. We'd love to hear from you. Tonight we have Jose Antonio Gordillo, and Jose is the founder and CEO of Cultural Inquiry, and he is going to help us find a new way to meet our inner child in a safe space where we will not be judged, and we're looking forward to hearing from Jose tonight. Jose, we're ready when you are.
Thank you so much, Ellen, for your kind presentation, and thank you, Lindsay, and Heather for this wonderful invitation. I'm very happy to be with you today from Switzerland, from Zurich, and yeah, it's a truly honor to be with everyone. Okay, so I will start with this wonderful picture from a wonderful photographer called Herbst Ludubnik in 1968, called How Kids See Museums. As maybe you know, I'm a passionate defender of children in museums, and this is a wonderful intro picture from two wonderful girls, much more interested in the air conditioning system than in the art contemporary masterworks that surround them. And that's exactly the spirit of this presentation. Let flow our inner child, because the inner child, our inner child, is what guides us in the good direction. And as an intro quotes, I would like to start with these three great giants, the Spanish poet Federico Garcia Lorca, that he said in one of his poems, we must look with the eyes of a child and ask for the moon. We must ask for the moon and believe that it can be placed in our hands. So I invite everyone here in the room to start to ask for the moon, and don't be ashamed to ask for the moon. Another quote from Nostos Luz-Glück: we look at the world once in childhood, the rest is memory. And it's so true. And you will also understand why I choose this quote when I connect this quote with one of the pictures of the presentation. And finally, one of my favorite books, The Little Prince, from Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. All grown-ups were once children, but only a few of them remember it. And it is my challenge during all my life, try to remember my childhood. And from these memories, build something meaningful, something special, and something that connects with everyone. My name is Jose, as Ellen mentioned, a long Spanish name, and I'm the founder of Culture Inquiry. That is a very special company located in Zurich. I created this in 2022. I operate globally. I work with especially museums, but also with schools and universities. And this is an example of cooperation with the University of Sarasota, the wonderful university. And I do a lot of strategy, planning, research, evaluation. I lead pilot projects in different arenas and issues related with artificial intelligence, education, childhood inspiration. And there's a lot of toddlers in museums, new narratives, and this is my passion. Children and how they see the world. Recently, I published in Routledge a book called Children's Board in Museums, and this is one of the my life books because it's a summary of 23 years working in museums and children's, and this is a wrap up of wonderful stories living with children in museums and learning from them how they see museums, how they see learning, how they see culture. And more recently, like last week, I published another book called Why Is So Great to Be a Child as an Adult? Self-Advocacy Manual for Educators, published in United PC. And this is very recent and is so connected with the topics that I tackle during this conference, this presentation, because it faced one of the uh, prejudices we have as an adults to interact with children in our adult life. So I would like to start with this picture of myself, 3 years old, because it's important for me. Is an anchor. This is a very special day in my life. It's my birthday, my 3 years old birthday. I'm with my grandpa and grandmother in my hometown in Barcelona. It's a beach. I'm celebrating my birthday, and I'm enjoying a lot the day with sun, with my family. I'm nearby a museum, a natural history museum that was nearby the beach, and they create a wonderful playground. And this is my first experience about what is a museum, and I was very touched, very impacted by this day. Not only because it was an experience about a museum, but also because it's an experience that I came back again and again during my life to see the world, to see from this day an experience my whole life. And I think this is a very important exercise for anyone who wants to connect with children, try to reestablish, to build, to came back and to stay in this joyful childhood experience. And this is important because expand everything in every direction, what you think, what you feel, what you create. At least in my case, this is the foundational picture of my life. And I have chosen this picture to share with you this afternoon because it can explain a lot about my work, about my ideas, about my proposals, about my projects. Everything in some way is in this picture and is in some way a development of this picture. So it's a kind of Big Bang. And it's a Big Bang because from this core childhood, I find very easy to connect with other children, with other educators, with other teachers, to develop environments, contexts like this children's board that I'm founding in different museums of the world. You have here some pictures from museums from Mumbai, from India, from Switzerland, from Sweden, from Spain, from here, from Rotterdam, different children, different groups, different experience with the same goal. And the goal is bring children to the table, bring the voices of the children to organizations, to groups, to professionals, and start to facilitate this dialogue to see the reality from their eyes, from their perspective, from their universe, and not from the adult one. Because as an adult, we have, I think, a deep, very deep rooted stereotype vision of what is a child. And sometimes this stereotype, these cliches, condition us a lot to interact with the children. You have here the iceberg model, the famous iceberg model, and I have seen this iceberg model acting so many times in my professional career. We are not aware sometimes about these mental models and these underlying structures that we are inside that give us a frame, a context, a definition, a meaning about what is a child in the society. What should be the role of a child in our society? How the child should work, should act, should behave. And this is so important because it's sometimes is unconscious, sometimes is not explicit, sometimes is silent, sometimes is emergent, and we don't even notice it, but is present. Is present in our actions, in our decisions, in our in the way we relate and interact with the children, in the way we move them or invite them to do things. And I think it's very important to consider this. And this is one of the main topics that I tackle in the book. For this purpose, for example, I have created a whole work methodology in museums, as I mentioned, called Children's Board. Is a 8 steps methodology. In this circle, I start always trying to invite professionals and museum professionals to reconnect with their inner child using their childhood memories, using their own stories, using emotions, using their specific core childhood. And from this, I move trying to establish a new relationships between them and the children, trying to reshape a little bit their mental model, their idea about what is the role of the children in a museum or in a library or in an archive, and not only as a passive visitors, but also as an active co-creators, as a leaderships, as a citizens that can decide and make very wise decisions and very important decisions for the organizations in terms of connection and engagement and participation and future. So this is an example of this meeting. But I start also, I want to start with some stories about these mental models about children. And this is something that you can find on the book, and is very nearby because it happens in my flat, in my apartment. At the same time, by the way, I found this delivery box with this label that is do not deliver to the children because obviously it's dangerous and children can be damaged or whatever. And this was placed in one flat of my building. So it gives you a glimpse of these structural models, these mental models. Obviously, uh, we need to create safe spaces for children. This is clear. No comments about this, but sometimes we overwhelm children with more safe measures, and we produce the contrary effect on them. We think about children and clearly insecure and needed for our defense, our constant vigilance. And this is what is telling us the box with this level. But at the same time, in the same building, some group of children did this wonderful experience with chalks, inviting us to have fun and be happy by drawing with chalks nearby. And was very contagious because so many adults on the of the building start to draw collectively in groups. You see some of the pictures of the drawings with families, and was exactly the opposite model of the box. Was free, was safe, was creative, was instantly connected with the feelings and emotions and the joy to do something easy, creative, and safe. So this is a good starting point to see some of the stereotypes that I have found during so many years in my career in talking with children, talking with teachers, educators, with artists, with people who is interested in learning. I would like to introduce some of these stereotypes during this part of the talk by using some examples. The first stereotype is children cannot be leaders or agents of change because play is not a serious and transformational thing. So only adults can be leaders. Only adults can be agents of change. Only adults can do things that can change structures, systems, organizations, whatever. And this is not true. And to explain that it's not true, this is I would like to share this story from Susan, that is this girl that is inside the red circle. This is a group of children visiting a museum in Sweden from one of our children's board. And in one of the visits, the topic was the work who everyone in the museum was doing, who does what. And everyone was explaining, I'm the curator, I'm the mediator, I'm the receptionist, I'm the human resources expert, I'm the director, whatever. At the end of the meeting, Susan hung up her hand and asked in the middle of the room, in front of all the team of the museum, uh, why the people who is working here is so sad. There was silence in the room, but was a great question because was the $1 million questions. She dares to ask the question that everyone knows, but anyone dares to ask. She has an incredible emotion radar, and she detected the problem that was on the organization, and was an incredible story because the second question that she asked to the director is, how much time do you play? And the answer of the director was, well, we don't play, we are adults, you play because you are children, and we don't need to play. We have more serious things to do, like than play is. And Susan explained the rest of the her mates. Now I understand why the people who is working here is so sad, because they don't play. And this was a kind of revolution, because from this shocking experience, the director decided to start to play with the employees of the museum. Every single Monday during the morning, they start the week by playing. And 1 year after this shocking experience, Susan came back to the museum, and she said a completely different museum. everyone was happy, everyone was playing, everyone was welcoming, everyone was safe. So yeah, girls and children can transform organizations from inside with a one single question, one true question, very emotional rooted and based on play. The second stereotype, children cannot be experts because adults are the only ones, because children has no knowledge to be experts. And it's not true because I'm constantly interacting with children that are super experts, super incredible, talented children in things like, for example, artificial intelligence. This is an example of a program that we did recently called Playing with Algorithms, where children are the ones who teach adults to use artificial intelligence in a good way, involving ethical questions, involving environmental issues, involving play, involving humor, involving stories. And they are the ones who lead the path, not us. So they are the experts, but not only in artificial intelligence, in so many things. But we need to dismantle and question this idea that only adults are the experts, only adults have something to say about some specific topic. Or, for example, this is another amazing story that I live with in a local museum here of art called Creaviva Centrum Paul Klee. In one of our children's board, they create this green tent, and they consider this green tent inside the museum like a whole museum inside the museum. And they have an incredible debate conversation with so professional curators that know a lot about colors, a lot about different styles, about graphic design, and they decide we want a green tent inside the museum because it's the best. And finally, they have this green tent to play, to have everything inside, to invite. And when they celebrate the 20th anniversary last summer, they have an open door day. And this was the most visited installation of all the museum. So it's a demonstration that they are super experts and they are super brilliant when we give them the opportunity to express their ideas and to share their ideas, and we respect their ideas and we honor their ideas, and we consider these ideas seriously. The third stereotype, well, children are not full citizens, so they cannot be active politics. And this is not true because I have met so many children during my life incredibly active in politics, much more than adults. This is an example of our children's board creating a movement related with climate change, a big manifestation. This is another example of in Ostia, in Rome, they start an incredible movement to to reclaim peace in this terrible Ukraine war, and they organize everything. They organize all the idea, all the manifestation, all the invitation, all the connection with the social media, the presentation in a theater, everything, absolutely everything, because they have a very clear political ideas. And we need to consider this because it's the only way to change in a very important way the reality. If it's not the case, and we continue considering only politicians, the adults, we have a blind spot, a very big blind spot that can condition in a very bad way, by the way, the future. These are another examples in Myanmar, in Budapest, in Iran recently. The participation of young children people is so many times the beginning of a change, the beginning of something changing in the political arena. Another stereotype is about children and nature, because children has a very special relation with nature, and this is an example of how they need to have very close in their everyday life nature. This is an idea that they have to have nature represented in museums. This is a hatch space of chickens in a museum in real time, because the idea was we need to see how a chicken born, because we don't know. So we are missing the opportunity to see how chickens born, because we love to see how chickens born, and this is important for us, and we need to know, and we don't know where because sometimes we don't have farms near, and in a city it's very difficult, and chickens don't came from supermarkets, so we need to reconnect with nature. And this is an example of this. And this is another story that a wonderful story of the special connection that exemplify the special connection of children with nature. This is an exhibition of that they did with watercolors in here in Switzerland. We were working with them and outdoors in a park, and at some moment it started to rain, and we immediately invite them to came back and came back inside the building, but they declined. They told us, we want to stay here painting with the rain, because it's watercolors, and raining is helping us to paint, and we want to create, we want to draw, we want to paint with the rain. So imagine how sensible they are and connected with nature to dance with the rain, to play with the rain, to create with the rain. Isn't it incredibly inspiring and something joyful that adults we need to honor? So many times I'm very sad because we miss these incredible moments. And it's only a question to be sensible and to be open and to be very well inner child connected. Is just like that. But these moments are precious. This is another example in Mumbai, the children's board in the Museum of the Solutions. One of the ideas that the children give to the architects is where was we need a building completely open to the light, because in India light is very important and they value a lot the light, and it was a very important asset for the architects to design the spaces and to design the building and to design everything from this light mindset of the children. So this connection with light, with wine, with rain, with sun, like in my childhood picture, is so important to consider. This is a recent book of, maybe you know, Robin Wall Kimmerer. I love this author. It's called The Service Berry, and is also connected with this last stereotype. I think inside the children vision of nature, we can find a whole model based on generosity, abundancy, and sensitivity. that is very different from the usual model that adults use to work and to relate, that is based on scarcity, in competition, and in win-win logic. And that's the reason, because I consider very important to connect with the nature vision of the children, because inside you have a treasure, and the treasure is this whole new model to see the reality and to reshape relationships with everyone and with nature. And finally, children's imagination has not real impact. So children is okay, but children imagination, they are always in the clouds, they are always blah blah blah. And this is another story that demonstrates exactly the opposite. This is a wonderful hands-on module in La Rodadora in Mexico, in Ciudad Juárez. It's a museum that also I'm working with. And this is a wonderful story. This the sentence on the hands-on say, "Where come from the dreams?" And the children in this community are so traumatized by family violence, by family conflict, using even guns. And so the wonderful personnel of the museum, they identify this need, and they start a conversation with them, and they notice that the children have a lot of nightmares related with violence and this trauma situation. So with another artist, they start to think about this, and how can we transform this trauma experience in something different, and heal a little bit the situation. And this is a big dragon, a local dragon. So children, they write down their nightmares in a paper, and they put the paper in the mouth of the dragon, and the dragon eat each one of the nightmares, and the nightmare disappear. So this is a wonderful, and they even did a very good research about the impact of this imagination reality combination, and was incredibly effective. From these children start to have less nightmares and have more healthy and well-being, quality of life, not only because of this, obviously, but this was a trigger of a good new way to see the reality. And the key point was put on the shoes of the children and start the conversation from their imagination and the dreams. So yeah, opposite to this stereotype, children's imagination have a lot of impact in the reality. In fact, I think is the most important trigger and driver of the reality. So in this context, I have created a project. Lindsay know a little bit about this, but I'm very happy also because I'm starting this kindergarten reverse pilot project that summarize a little bit all these inputs, and I will finish with this reference of this pilot project that I'm starting with some partners. One of them is a library in United States, is the Western Bank Library, because they are doing a lot of research about how play can stimulate, inspire adults to reconnect with their inner child. And that's exactly the idea of reverse kindergarten. Is a radical project, because try to enlighten radical is come back to the origin, and the origin is exactly to be connected with your inner child, and is a project that has a lot of connections with previous schools, learning schools, very important learning schools like Frebel, and the creation of the concept of kindergarten. Is the first time that somebody thought about the importance of children, and in terms of garden and in terms of toy, or of course Maria Montessori and their Casa dei Bambini with her child-centered learning, or the Loris Malagucci and the Emilia Reggio Preschool, or the Sesame Street television program that I think is one of the most incredible programs in education ever. And the respect for children is so important. Was in that moment was an explosion in the mass media, or the lifelong learning project, kindergarten project from MIT, that also is a very highlighted project in computing and coding. And so the idea for this reverse kindergarten is invite children to teach adults how to be a child again, and how to be a child by playing. So we create scenarios to observe and listen children by playing, interact with children by playing, and reflect about how this can be very transformative for adults in the way that they see the reality, they interact with the reality, they understand the reality. Everything through play, everything through through free play, and everything guided by the experts on play in the world, that are the children. So to end, and we see the QR code, that I would like to end reading a kind of writing I did some time ago, called Only Once. I have tried to recreate the universe of the children. And this text say, you invent strange words that we can't understand. Words like future, successful person, promotion, career, maturity, or become someone in life. Words like coming of age or adulthood. Words you put into our mouths, making us chew them over and over like bland mush. Words we spit out as soon as you turn your back and can no longer see us, because no one can swallow these words. Because they are just that, words. Words that have no taste, that say nothing, that are nothing. We know you have your favorite words: homeland, war, border, foreigner, diplomacy, power. When you use them, you roll your eyes and your face transforms in a strange way, as if making grotesque grimace. You scare us when you use those words. We want to get out of there fast when we hear them from your lips. In our language, we call them arrow words. If only you'd listen to ours just once, if only you understand why we often stay silent and let you continue with your absurd nonsense, if you can truly grasp our silence, things would get better. Thank you for your attention, and happy now to start a conversation.
Well, thank you so much, Jose. Does anyone have any questions they'd like to put in the chat? Well, Regina, I see that you asked about whether the words will be shared. This video will be available on the Sarasota University YouTube channel, and also the QR code for the professional development certificate will be shared as well. Our coordinator, Heather White, is also going to put that in the chat in just a couple of minutes. But does anybody have any questions, comments, anything for Jose? In the meantime, we've got a few minutes. And I see Heather put the QR code. So if you'd like a certificate for participation, just click on that code that was just put into the chat room. And Dr. Pollock, did you have any questions or anything tonight? Dr. Pollock is having a terrible time with her internet, so I'm sure that's why I'm not getting an answer. Well, Jose, did you have the last screen was very quick that you put up. Is there anything that you could put in the chat with your website and maybe the link to your new book, any of the information? Because I'm seeing a lot of comments that, oh, there we go.
I put
And
on the
now,
chat the link of the slides, so you have here
perfect,
all the
perfect,
information.
perfect. And I will copy that. So if anyone needs that and didn't get it, then you can always email. Oh, Lydia said it's asking for access, Jose.
Yeah, just 1 second.
Okay. So he should be taking care of that.
Yeah, and now she has access.
Okay. Okay. Do you have a link to your website that you could put in the chat, Jose? I know I'll
Yes,
probably be asked for it by the time
yeah,
by the time it hits my tomorrow morning, I'll probably have some emails asking for it. So if you have
yeah.
that you can put in the chat room, that would be great.
It's in the chat,
Perfect.
and
Perfect.
also I put my LinkedIn profile, so you
Great.
can contact me via LinkedIn in this link. Just 1 second.
Sure.
I put on the chat, and also I will put the whole text. Well, you have the link in the slides of the whole text of the ending. That is it's a kind of
Perfect.
yeah tribute. So you have here my LinkedIn profile, and also you have here the link to the text that I when I finish the presentation. Just 1 second. It's called Only Once, and is an attempt to put on the shoes of the children and try to see the language that adults use uh, with them from the perspective, and how this um, you have here how sometimes the language that we use as an adult is completely harmful and completely difficult and is a barrier, and is we use words sometimes as a weapons and uh, as a frontiers, as a barriers, as a limitations. And this is an attempt to start to think in a different way the language, because language create reality, and children has their way to use the language. They have 100 languages, not only the classic one. So we need to be trained to understand all this variety and the diversity of languages they use. And it's important to consider this diversity and variety from their perspective and from their mindset. So I think this is an invitation, and this is the main message of my presentation, to step back and dare to be open. And the only way to do this, at last, in my opinion, is by reconnecting with your own inner child.
Yes, and I wanted to read real quick. Heather White put in the chat room. She wanted to share how much she enjoyed the story of the young girl in the museum asking why all the adults were so sad, and knowing it was because they weren't playing. It's a great reminder for all of us to consider ways we can incorporate play into our work and our daily lives. That really is the truth. We can all do that. And I just wanted to read that message, because if someone is watching the video, then I'm not sure the chat will appear. So
Yeah, I think this is a very important reminder, because we are so comfortable in our workplaces, in our roles, in our and it's a adult construction, and is so well grounded in a
yeah.
power structure. So
Yes.
when a child with a fresh perspective, very honest and radically honest perspective, dismantle or challenge this organization, we need to be allies, not enemies of this process. And I know it's very difficult because it's so deeply rooted in our culture, but it's possible. I have seen so many times this process of transformation, uh, creating special relationships between reshaping relationships between adults and children. And the good news is that when adults relax and step back and start to be open, they discover a whole new world, and they discover the joy of this new world. And they are so much connected, they are so much focused, they are so much creative, they are so much humble, they are so much uh, respectful and authentic. That's at least my experience, my own experience, and the experience I have seen in so many adults during my professional career.
Well, I'm going to read one more comment in the chat room. It says, Regina said, many wonderful ideas. Your message will stay with me as I work with adults who are working with children. Thank you for sharing your important, inspirational work.
Thank you, Regina. Appreciate it.
And Michelle said, thank you very much. This session has been insightful. I'm currently studying to become a preschool teacher and have been exploring more ways to understand children. So,
Thank you, Michelle. And thank you, Heather. Thank you so much for your comment. I think it's very important to expand this children mindset in every single dimension, not only in education. Uh, is curious because I'm not a teacher. I'm a Montessori guy, so I was trained. My school was a Montessori school in my hometown. I have so, but I think it's very important to expand all these uh, I call sweet provocations in very different arenas, not only in education, but also in organizations, in companies, in communication, especially in technology. I'm doing a lot of work right now in this arena of artificial intelligence and children because I think it's so important to start to have a artificial intelligence children center approach and invite them to be able to reshape the technology from their perspective to have a completely different technology. I'm sure that it will be the case. We will have a much more respectful technology, ethical technology, environmental sensible technology. And the key point is to invite them to be part of the narrative and to be part of the process and give them the possibility to co-create and participate. That's my main goal in this context. So I think if we establish these alliances and connections, and for me, it's a kind of mycelium, is in the subsurface, but is silent, but is very powerful.
yes, very true, very true. Well, it's getting toward the end of the hour, so we're going to wrap this up. And I just want to thank everyone for attending the Sarasota University monthly colloquium. As you all probably know, or for those who don't, we offer 100% online degrees. We have a bachelor completion degree, a master of Arts in Montessori Education, a Master of Arts in Montessori Leadership, and we have a doctoral and a doctoral completion program in process now. So we'd love to hear from you, and I am putting my email in the chat room, and it's info@sarasotauniversity.edu. Lydia is saying thank you for the link. It worked, so we must have worked that out. Unless Dr. Pollock or Heather White have anything else to add, then I think we can wrap this up and maybe let Jose get some sleep since he's in an opposite time zone of us. So thank you so much, Jose. What a valuable message that was just, it's important work.
Thank you
And
so
so,
much, Ellen, and thank you so much,
all right.
Lindsay and Heather, for your wonderful and kind invitation.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
My
so
much,
much.
Jose. Thank you,
pleasure,
everyone.
sister.
Thank you.
Thank you.